Hey there, happy friends, Even Star here. Again, not in the shed, so this is like my mom and dad's house. I'm visiting with my family for a little while in Portugal where they live. Uh, and today I'm here to talk to you about all of the new free cross-stitch designs coming up on the website next week. And it's a very important theme this week, very important to me as well, and I think it's an important theme. It should be important to everybody, and that is mental health. October the 10th, which is Thursday, is World Mental Health Day, and if you've read my cross-stitching story on the website, you'll know that that's a subject that's very important to me. It has affected my life in many different ways, both my own mental health and the mental health of people around me. One of the missions of my website is to promote good mental health through cross-stitching, because cross-stitching really helped me recover from an extremely bad episode of depression. And I think this week it's kind of interesting, the designs, because I don't really expect anybody to stitch these because they are very personal to me. And you'll understand why in a minute. Now you might look at them and go, yeah, those are really cute, or that's really cool, and I would stitch that without really needing the background story. But I really wanted to talk seriously about mental health this week, and generate a little bit of awareness with these designs. And I'm hoping that maybe if you feel that you're out there suffering, either yourself or someone you know under the burden of a mental health problem, that maybe these will help you talk about your mental health or the mental health of someone you love, and use them as tools to talk to other people about mental health. To me, I don't really understand why it's called mental health. Our brains are attached to the rest of our bodies. My particular mental health issues have to do with chemical imbalances. That's a physical problem. So just because it's going on in your head, that doesn't mean it's not valid and you don't need help. But I just want you to be aware that there are other people going through what you're going through, and there are people out there who can help you get well and maintain wellness of mental health. I think it's an extremely important thing to talk to your children about. I don't have children, but I think we're being more open these days about mental health, depression, anxiety, manic depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, all those things. I think the earlier we learn about those things in life, the earlier we can be mindful of those in ourselves and of the people around us. So even if you don't stitch these designs, I'm hoping that they will be useful tools to get you thinking and talking about mental health in your own life. So let's get into the free designs. Now the free designs are all around the theme of what I call mental health monsters. In my own life, it's been extremely helpful to me to think about some of my mental health as these kinds of creatures that come and visit me from time to time. They aren't aspects of my personality, they're separate from me, and visualizing them like that has really helped me deal with some of them, and make them maybe not stick around quite as long. I can learn to recognize them. My mental health is something that I have to manage continually, and I do that through good diet, lots of exercise, lots of going outside, hobbies like cross-stitching and designing cross-stitch and pottery, and also talking to people around me. Mental health, I think, is improved greatly by finding that support system and people that you can talk to about what you're feeling and what you're going through. So I think about my mental health as these creatures that come to visit, and that I can recognize them and either embrace them when they're good, because not all monsters are bad, but also to deal with them when they're bad. So all of the designs this week will be in that sort of monster theme, and this is how I kind of personify them in my head. And, you know, I can talk to them and I can tell them to fuck off, basically, you know, when I don't want them around. So the first one we have, and this is sometimes where, you know, if you suffer from depression and anxiety, especially, your monster can be like this one. This is the purple dreads, and look at him there. He's so cute. He's like purple and squishy and fuzzy, and he's got those big puppy dog eyes. And this guy pops up for me at extremely inconvenient moments, when I've been looking forward to something, and then he comes along and kind of makes me think about all the worst case scenarios. He comes along when I have to go out in a crowd and meet new people. You know, he kind of wants me to stay home because, you know, if you go out there and meet people, you know, they're not going to like you. You know, you might as well just skip all that rejection. Or, you know, if I'm, you know, preparing for something, maybe it's a test or presentation or something like that. He's really there. He thinks he's protecting me by getting me to not do things, to not get out of my anxiety comfort zone. But really, he just stops me from doing things before I start. And, you know, I know he's cute, you know, but he always has a tummy ache. You know, that's why he's holding his belly. And he always gives me a tummy ache too. So, you know, this is one where I kind of let him hang around probably a bit too long from time to time, because he is cute, and sometimes it's just easier to listen to that voice that says to stop before you start, because you might fail at something. But over time, you know, I've learned to just kind of like punch him in his stupid big fuzzy tummy, and he just kind of deflates and fizzles off like a balloon. The next design is, I call this one, it's the cephalopod of self-loathing. So as you can see there, it's kind of this octopusy creature with lots of these arms and suckers. And again, she looks really squishy and cute, but those tentacles will totally destroy you. This is probably one of my worst monsters. This is the one, she wants me to hate myself. You know, tells me I'm a terrible person, tells me I'm ugly and fat and stupid and useless. And you know, she wears this bag over her head because you know, she doesn't want anyone to see how ugly she is. And those tentacles with all those suckers on them, man, those are so good at like holding on to things for like literally years. Like things that I said or did that someone else, you know, maybe I said something to someone and I thought, oh, that was really insensitive. That person will have forgotten in 5 seconds. Haunts me for years, right? It's because of this monster, right? Just hangs on to those things, you know. She just thinks that I should hate myself, and she loves to tell me why I should hate myself, like all of the time. This is the monster where one of my favorite phrases when talking about my own mental health is, my brain is trying to kill me. And my partner is very familiar with this, because I will have days where maybe I've not been as mindful as I should be, and I'm trying to go to sleep at night, and all of these things will just come up in my head, and it's like my brain is trying to kill me. And that is the cephalopod of self-loathing. She's reaching out with all of those horrible tentacles, trying to like draw me into this web of like self-loathing and sadness. And she's really difficult to escape once she's in there, right? So what I do about this is I'll do things that let me ignore her. You know, I'll go for a run, I'll go for a walk, I'll talk to my partner and tell him how I am feeling. I'll do cross stitch, I'll draw, I'll do pottery. So what tends to happen then is if I just stop listening, she just gets bored and goes away. This next monster, as you can see there, he's like really red and hot and angry, is the rage monster. And I think everybody has the rage monster come to visit from time to time. Maybe it looks different for you, but this is my rage monster. You know, we all get angry about things. You know, maybe you come back from shopping and someone scratched your car, or, you know, maybe the Game of Thrones, series finale wasn't what you were expecting. You know, there's Brexit and global climate change and death. Those are all things to be angry about, right? But sometimes you can be angry for just no good reason at all. You just wake up in the morning and you hate everyone and you hate everything. And this is the most important point. The universe is out to get you. So this is an aspect of sort of the paranoia part of depression and anxiety. And that's my rage monster. And there really isn't much more to say about him because he's not very articulate. It's just, you know, there he is. He's lazy. He doesn't communicate very well. Most of the time, doesn't even know why he's angry. Just sits up in there in my head and he stews away and he steams with all those flames coming out of his ears. You know, won't let me sleep. It used to really pop up at work or in situations where someone is trying to give me constructive feedback, and it's, you know, he and the cephalopod of self-loathing are like besties. So if you have a really big, healthy rage monster, you will be convinced that somebody might do something thoughtlessly, they're not even thinking about you, but you'll take that so incredibly personally and get extremely, extremely upset. And, you know, kind of like the cephalopod, I try to beat this guy at his own game because he is lazy. So, you know, I'll exercise. He hates exercise, you know, especially like lifting weights and throwing a kettlebell around. That's really good at getting rid of the rage monster. But also talking. If you just talk about how you're feeling with somebody who understands you, you know, not necessarily for validation, but just to get your anger out there. It's very difficult for him to just sort of like explode in your head if you diffuse that by talking to somebody. I know it sounds like kind of stupid and silly, but so is the rage monster. So the next design we have on Thursday is an interesting creature that I like to call the Imposter. Now, I think we're all familiar with the concept of fake it till you make it. And I'm a big believer in that just pretend that you know what you're doing and learn as much as you can, as fast as you can, and that gives you the confidence until you actually do know what you're doing. And I mentor other people in my profession of product management and also younger women in their careers. And it's amazing how many of them don't understand this concept. And, you know, my secret that I tell them is that actually nobody knows what they're doing, right? They sometimes feel as like they're the only people that don't know what they're doing. You know, they're trying to get into management. It just seems like that everybody knows nobody knows what they're doing, right? And we're all just faking it till we make it most of the time. But sometimes that doesn't work. And in this design, the interesting thing is that on the one side, you've got me as my alter ego and spirit animal, the snail. He's all, look at it, she's all happy and confident, big smile, right? And generally, you know, I can be genuinely happy and confident. But on the right side, there is, you know, what I call the imposter. And, you know, that's sad snail. That's me wearing this sort of literal mask of happy confidence. While beneath it, you know, she's just like miserable and crumbling and anxious and terrified on the inside. And she's putting on this face for the rest of the world, right? And this is kind of a funny one because there's no monster in this picture. The monster is actually me. And for most people with anxiety and depression and other mental health issues, this is a huge and horrible thing to come to terms with, and that is, first of all, that there's something wrong with you. And I think, like I said at the beginning, we're learning to talk more about mental health and talk to our children about mental health and younger, so that they can recognize these things. But when I had to first come to terms with it, it was like recognizing that something was actually wrong, and I had to have somebody outside of me tell me it's like there's something wrong with you. But also to understand that what you're feeling, you know, isn't normal. It's not normal. Not everybody feels that way. And it also feels like there's nothing you can do about it. Like, that's just the way things are. That's just the way you are. You know, people keep telling you to grow up, to cheer up, and, you know, the worst one, you know, that toxic masculinity is like, be a man. So you learn to hide it, right? You learn to hide it because you don't want to have people tell you to just cheer up when you can't. Like, you just physically cannot do it. So you learn to hide it. And you put this face on, and everybody thinks you're fine, until one day you're at the bottom of this extremely deep, dark pit that you have no idea how you got there, and you have no idea how you're going to get out of it, right? So I know that some of you by now are going like what, you know, what is she talking about? Like, this is just such a downer this week. But I want to stress that this is the reality for one in four people. 1 in 4 people, humans, all over the world, where we 7 or 8 billion people now, will have a mental health problem at some point in their lives. And it is dark, and it is serious, and people die from it, just like they die from cancer, if it's not caught soon enough. And I wanted to raise awareness this week about mental health and how serious and difficult this issue is. I think we are getting better at talking about it. I'm hoping that by talking more about it, you know, people won't feel like they have to be the imposter. They won't have to put on this mask of normalcy because they're afraid that people will judge them, or, you know, just tell them, oh, cheer up, be a man, right? There's something, what's wrong with you, right? You know, it's not normal. So, you know, they can't explain that problem to themselves. So how do you know, expect anyone else to understand it unless you talk about it? So the imposter monster is something that does come up from time to time for me now, but I'm much better at recognizing when I am trying to put a face on it rather than just dealing with that problem when it comes up. And I don't think anybody should ever have to put a face on it. I think people shouldn't be afraid to talk about how they're feeling, and to understand that they're not alone, that there's lots of other people that feel this way, and that there is help there for you. You don't have to be alone. And finally, on Friday, we end on a little bit of a lighter note. This is the Happyhooray monster. Like I said at the beginning, not all monsters are bad. And the Happyhooray monster is a great monster to have. But it's just that for some people, you know, like me, tends to be a bit lazy. Maybe he's a bit sickly. Maybe he's a bit small, right? And he tends to grow and shrink. You know, my Happyhooray monster many years ago was, you know, almost microscopic. And this is the creature that reminds me about the good things that happen, you know, rather than, you know, the purple dread telling me all the bad things. This is the one that tells me good things can happen, and it's not going to turn out all wrong. And it helps you find joy in small things and celebrate my accomplishments, and stops me from comparing myself to others. You know, admitting that you're happy can sometimes be as difficult as admitting that you're depressed. And compared to my other monsters, this one is not very big or strong. And probably never will be, just because of the way I'm built. But there's, you know, that's why he carries a big neon sign, because he has to, like, remind me that he's there, because all the other ones are taller than he is, right? So this is the monster that, as much as you can do things to make the other monsters go away, this is the monster that you can, like, build up, and there's lots of things that you can do to encourage your Happyhooray monster and make him bigger and stronger and louder. It does love exercise once it gets going. It loves going outside in the outdoors. It likes helping other people. It likes designing cross-stitch patterns. Well, mine does. Yours might like doing something else. You know, mine likes making jam and making wine and doing things for other people. You know, it's the one that says, you know, your only competition is yourself. And I mean, this is the one that likes to, you know, the cephalopod of self-loathing and my Happyhooray monster, like, do not get along. They have, like, slap fights every so often, right? So, you know, nurture your Happyhooray monster, and do things that make it big and strong, and it'll fight the other monsters for you, right? It'll fight those other monsters, and it will make your life happier and easier. So think about all those things that you find joy in, that make you feel better, and it'll make your Happyhooray monster get bigger and stronger. So that's all of the free designs for Mental Health Week. I hope you did enjoy, you know, I hope you will enjoy the monsters and Mental Health Week, and maybe think about your own mental health and the mental health of those around you. You know, I do get that you're probably not going to stitch any of these creatures, but in as much as, you know, you can say what I do is art, this is my art and how I express myself, and these monsters are how I visualize my mental health, you know, anxiety and depression and paranoia and all those things, and maybe you can use those as tools to discover your own monsters and confront them. Maybe use them as tools to talk to other people, especially young people, about mental health and mindfulness. And I do hope this did get you thinking about your own mental health monsters. You know, happiness is not an accident. You have to make a decision, and you have to work at it. There are people out there going through what you are going through. There is help, and you can get better, and you are not alone. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. All of these designs will be on the website next week. I will leave links for that below or around here somewhere. Please share my designs on your social media with all of your cross-stitching friends, especially these designs, because I think the message of mental health is so important. And I will see you all next time at Hancock's House of Happy. Bye!